Why are you struggling so badly to market your creative works? I know one of the main reasons I'm struggling, and that is simply time. A couple months ago, I did an experiment where I posted on TikTok and Instagram every day for a month, which I had never been a dedicated user of social media, to see if it improved my sales if I was consistent about it. And it did. It did work to, not a staggering degree, but I did see little sales bumps when I was posting consistently. But I never figured out a way to streamline my content enough to make it make sense to take the time out to post every day on these platforms. And I think part of that is due to the nature of what my books are, that they don't have super obvious hooks. So the amount of time I was spending trying to find enough different hooks to post was taking so much time. And of course, that is something you have to factor in, whether taking the time to do social media marketing even makes sense for you. Another barrier can be financial. As far as paid advertising goes, you might not have the money to put up for advertising, even if it would pay off in the long run, or you just don't want to take the risk. And a third may be simply lack of knowledge of how to market yourself, what to post, where to post, what platforms to use, etc. But as I was doing this social media experiment, I realized to what degree I had been affected by a fourth reason, which was simply that I feel awkward. I hate the sense that I'm always pushing my work in people's faces and bothering them. And, it's hard to get marketing done when you go into it with that attitude, but it's also very hard to shake. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. When you want to do marketing, but you don't want to annoy people and you just don't want to be that person, what do you do, or how do you get past that? If you're new here, my name is Lydia Foxglove, and on this channel I talk about the creative life in general and the writing life in particular, both the creative, the emotional, the financial, and the practical sides of it. I've been making my living as a writer since 2009, and I'm glad you're here. The first thing you gotta do is make sure that you're not completely exhausted. It's tasty. I want to drink the whole thing, but I already actually drank one before I even sat down to film. Magic Mind is a mental performance shot, and I was so happy when they reached out to me this year to work with them again, because I definitely notice a productivity boost when I drink one before I get to work. Sometimes the hardest part of my workday is simply getting started, and Magic Mind is my delicious little ritual that says, okay, time to get to work, and the ingredients support that. Magic Mind has similar caffeine to a cup of tea, and it's time released, so it's not this quick hit of jitters. Plus you get the mental clarity from the nootropics and calm energy from L-theanine and adaptogens. Altogether, it just helps me get into that flow state. If you're struggling with brain fog, procrastination, or motivation, you should really give this a try, and there is zero risk. You have 100 days to ask for a refund, even if you drank all the shots. With my QR code and link in the description, you can get 50% off a subscription, so you can see if Magic Mind works for you too. Thank you, Magic Mind. Now let's talk about the marketing mindset. You all know this person, I'm sure. You followed them as a friend, and now all they seem to do is try to sell you something. The obvious answer to this is to create a dedicated, fresh social media account that does not have any of your friends on it. But then you have no following, and you're stuck there talking to the void, what do I do? What do I say? Nobody cares. And then I always find myself torn between the personal and the professional. Am I supposed to talk about just my book? Am I supposed to talk about my book but throw in some cats? Am I supposed to talk about my book and how hard it is to write a book, and then also my cats? What proportion of things am I supposed to have in there? I want to make sure that my posts have value and that I'm funny and delightful, and that I'm also promoting myself while seeming like I'm not promoting myself. And it's just super overwhelming. And then after I've been pondering all this in my brain for a little while, I just freak out and I don't post anything. The fact is that I know that talking about my cats is fun, but it does not sell books. Something like 54% of writers have a cat. I don't know really how many it is, but it's not special. No one's going to buy your book because you have an adorable little cat, or an adorable dog or an adorable iguana or whatever you happen to have. So I think about posting the cat and then I'm like, well, that's like kind of a waste of my time. It's not actually going to sell any books. So then I think, okay, maybe I should I need a mix of talking about the process of writing a book, but then I need to promote the book. Then that can get kind of paralyzing because how much to share? And does anybody really want to hear me talk about this all day? The thing I think I realized from being on YouTube, which I've been able to carry over to my other social media platforms, and it has helped me a lot, is to realize that my audience actually does care. Does the whole world care? No. Is my audience small? Yes. But they care. And once you can accept that there is a tiny, well, it could be bigger, but at least when you start, there's a tiny audience that does care or is going to care when they find you. Once you kind of accept that, no, they really care, it makes everything easier from there. And if you're very adept at marketing, you know this already, but there's a lot of things in the world that we kind of already know, but you don't know until you suddenly hit this point where you see it in action and you're like, oh, okay. So that's kind of the point that I hit when I've been on YouTube for a while. I'm starting to realize that I have an audience and they do enjoy hearing me talk about the process of writing my books and thinking through my world building and my characters, and they're happy for me when I finish a book and then they read the book. For now, it might just be hundreds of you rather than thousands of you, but it's better than tens of you, and I didn't start with much of anything. Having YouTube as a platform has made me realize that this is a continuous conversation that I'm having, and that's made me feel a little less shy about sharing that stuff. So I've gotten a little better about knowing what to post on the other social media platforms, even though they don't have the same kind of deep connection and feedback as YouTube. So if you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't want a YouTube channel, I would still advise to imagine this audience. The audience that is deeply engaged with you, deeply interested in you. They're reading your books. You're basically creating your fantasy audience in your head. And if you have trouble imagining what that looks like, just imagine how you feel following your favorite creator in the world. How do you feel when they post about something? Imagine you as the audience multiplied. Imagine there's a bunch of those people out there and they are eager to hear about this. If I follow an author and I like their books, a lot of what I want to hear about is their books. So I follow Megan Bannon on Instagram and I love her Tanria series. I'm halfway through The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. I would show you the actual books, but Coco's getting disturbed when I try to reach past her. So, and I would be done with them if I wasn't in the middle of this decluttering project where I'm trying to get rid of as many books as possible so I can move hopefully eventually. But anyway, I love her books. I love her voice. I follow her on Instagram and she posts about her books a lot, and that's good because that's why I follow her, to know when she's releasing a book and if she's working on anything new that I can look forward to. But I started to realize that I do not give myself the same grace when I'm posting. The kind of enthusiasm I have for the writers I follow, I don't believe that people will have that for me. But when I was doing this dedicated social media experiment, I realized that I shouldn't think that way, because one of the things that holds me back, if I post, for example, a quote from the book 7 days a week, or a description of kind of the vibe you're going to get or what tropes it has, whatever. I feel like this is so repetitive. People who follow me are going to hate this because they might have already read the book or they're just sick of me talking about it. I'm just way overthinking the whole thing. But I realize following other authors' Instagram how short my own attention span is. I need to be reminded 25 times that you have a book coming out, because otherwise I'm going to forget. I'm going to forget to even go to my Barnes & Noble and grab it or grab the ebook or whatever. So it's okay that you remind me 25 times that your book is coming out. Don't feel bad about it. If I hate it, I can unfollow you. When you post teasers and that you're working on a work in progress, that's good because it primes me mentally to like know that this book is eventually going to be done. It builds up a sense of anticipation for it so that like, you know, I'm waiting for it. By the time you announce the actual release date and the cover, I kind of already know what it is, so I'm more excited and I'm already like ready to buy as soon as it comes out. I'm like, you've primed the audience. And perhaps the biggest thing that I've been thinking about is that every time you post about a book and some of your audience has already read the book, that when you post about it, you post a teaser or whatever, they're reminded what a good time they had reading the book. So like when Megan Bannon posts a quote from Heart, I read the book, but you know, that was years ago now. So now when I see it, I'm like, aw, I missed that guy. I forgot about that quote. And it's like a warm, fuzzy feeling to be reminded of how much I like the character and how much I like the book. It's also good, like if you're writing a long series, because you're reminding me, like, what was the book about? Because I'm very forgetful, and if I don't get to a sequel right away, and I usually don't, if you keep posting little bits about a book that you have already released, it reminds me like, oh yeah, that's what that book was. And if I have the sequel on my shelf and I've been kind of like procrastinating on reading it, or I've forgotten to buy it or whatever, it reminds me like, oh yeah, I do need to read that. I really enjoyed that book. And of course, if I've loved reading a series, getting some behind the scenes details about what it was like to write the book, or scenes that you cut, or little extra tidbits about the characters, or sketches you made of the characters, all that extra stuff is a lot of fun. It all just kind of reinforces the sense of like the world the author has created and keeps it in my mind all the time. On an objective level, I know that like Coca-Cola has to keep advertising. There's a reason that they do, even though if Coca-Cola stopped advertising, it would take a very long time for people to stop buying Coca-Cola. It's part of a lot of people's routine. People are going to think about Coca-Cola for the rest of their lives, everyone alive today. So, you know, if they stopped advertising, they would continue to sell for a long time, maybe even forever, but they would start to lose market share over time if they weren't continually advertising. So when I was posting every day, I realized that, well, I'm not even Coca-Cola. I certainly don't have that kind of brand recognition, but a lot of what I'm doing here is not even introducing new people to my books. It's simply keeping me in the forefront of the minds of people who have already read and enjoyed my book. It's as much about audience retention as it is about finding new people. That is, at its core, my takeaway after this experiment, is thinking the social media presence is there to remind people that are already my fans that I exist. And once I started thinking of it from that perspective, instead of this constant hunger for new people and how can I hook them, and like while not wanting to bore the people who follow me, it kind of freed me up mentally to make my marketing a little easier, not fuss so much over whether it was a little repetitive or whether every post had like a maximum engagement factor, because just thinking about it in a slightly different way really helped shift some of the pressure off me from a marketing perspective. And I think it's always good when you can take that sense of pressure off of yourself, that even just doing that often makes your social media presence better because you're just more relaxed. You don't come across like you're trying so hard. It frees you up to have a little more fun and a little more playfulness with it, while also juggling the fact that I don't really like social media. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I don't want to devote a lot of hours to building up a huge presence on multiple platforms, because YouTube still has most of my attention, and building up one platform is like enough to worry about. So I really don't want to waste my time with cat pictures on Instagram, because I do know that they're not going to sell a lot of books, and you get a lot of my cats on YouTube. This is where like you get the most me. So what then are Instagram and TikTok for? They're as a supplement to the YouTube channel, that if you like me a lot and you like my books, you can follow me on there and just get reminders. Like maybe you don't always have time to watch YouTube, but one day you're scrolling Instagram and you're like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed reading The Potion Dealers, and oh, she has a new book out. That's kind of where I'm thinking of it now. And I just found that this realization it helped me a lot. So I wanted to share it with you guys in case any of you are stuck in this same kind of perspective where you just get overwhelmed whenever you try to post and you're just stuck in this try too hard loop, or just overthinking like how to maximize your time on the social media platforms. It's okay to be on there just promoting yourself. It's okay to post sporadically. It's okay if not every hook is like a killer viral thing, but it's good to try to keep up with it now and then just to remind the fans you already have, like, I'm still around. That's it. And of course, you still might also maintain more personal social media accounts. I know a lot of people who use like one certain platform for more of like their real self or like more personal types of social media. Currently, YouTube is kind of my all-in-one everything right now. And then sometimes my like Substack Patreon posts is where if I like really have a lot to say and it just doesn't seem like worthy of a YouTube video, I'll just kind of dump it in there like whenever the whim strikes me. For a long time, Facebook was kind of where my personal self was, but Facebook is it's just such a junk right now. I kind of just left Facebook. I do miss having that kind of more casual platform to just sort of be myself, but for now, none of them really feel worthy of my time. For those of you who are thinking about social media marketing or are doing social media marketing, I'd love to know if this resonates with you at all, or how you've juggled mentally, like, what do I even do here? And worrying about how to balance different kinds of audiences and, all that stuff. I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Once again, I'd like to thank Magic Mind for sponsoring this video and helping to make this channel possible. Make sure to check them out with the link in the description. If you'd like more from me, I do have my Patreon and Substack. Both of them have a free tier where you get my mental, whatever, periodic brain dump, as well as if you join up with a paid tier, you get 2 bonus videos every month voted on by you guys, plus access to my Discord server where we talk about writing and creating and nerdy stuff all day long. And if you'd like to read any of my books, there's a link in the description. And my free book of the month is Fae Sworn, a book that is funny and fairly spicy, so be warned. If you want to read like my favorite books of mine, you'll want to check out one of my Hidden Lands books, but I'm doing the rotating free book too. And if you want to try to catch me for my lives, I generally try to post every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern and sometimes also on Wednesday at 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for watching. Capalia says hello, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Reinhardt. No.